Hey guys, how's it going? It's Hobo Yeti here. I was going to change it to Homeless Yeti, but I've already got the Hobo Road set up, so. But I guess it applies. I mean, my whole life is a Hobo Road, so it's just like whatever. But I'm in Portland, Oregon now, or outside of Portland, Oregon, one of the smaller cities outside of it. I was able to, in Johnson City, I was able to get a job briefly and get enough money. It was just too hot for me down there, and I wasn't able to continue working due to the housing situation, living in a tent. And um, so I got a ticket out here, a cheap plane ticket, like $250. I was able to get that and come out to the Northwest. I had to wait I had to get it like 3 weeks in advance, but you know, there's a lot of downtime when you're homeless. Um, Hurry up and wait. But if you're going to be homeless, the best place to be is in the Northwest. Let me tell you, there's like in Johnson City, there's like 2 or 3 homeless resources. Anytime you check out homeless resources and food pantries and shelters and stuff like that, there's usually 4 or 5, but most of them are packed up and or whatever. And then there's also a if you need anything, it's usually a line out the door. It reminds me of like the old pictures of Russia when you got people waiting in a line a mile down the road waiting for a loaf of bread. It's kind of like that, very similar. But since you have enough time, it all kind of works out because you're like, well, I don't have anything but time. I was able to get a few things when I got here. I had $150 or so when I got here, not very much, but I was able to get a new tent, which is the exact same one that I had there. It's a one-man tent. I was able to get a tarp, camouflage tarp. I was able to get a sleeping bag, a camping mat, and that was pretty much it. I had a little bit left over, so I went to the Goodwill and picked up a jacket that didn't really fit me very well. Uh, because it does get a little cooler here. I got a hoodie, and you know, and then I had somebody give me a donation. I was able to get some boots and some other things that I need. I'm still not really prepared for the cold weather, but yeah. So if you're gonna be homeless, do it in the Northwest. I'm just telling you, there are I wouldn't say 100 pantries, but there are, I would say, 15 pantries that are open. And then if you go across the river to Washington, there's pantries there, and you have places where you can get clothes and sometimes gear. Not very often. Um, Toiletries. I went to a giving fair, like a homeless fair, a couple of weeks back, and they had like you get haircuts. It was like a job fair, but it was they had you could sign up to get food stamps, you could sign up to get an ID, and they'd give you a voucher from Human Services. They had food. They actually served food there. It was actually pretty horrible food, but it was hot food. They're not all created equal. I think what they put in it was like it was a mash of like pasta that was overdone and some kind of meat sauce and some vegetables that you couldn't identify, but it was hot. I didn't really need it at the time. I was able to get food stamps here. Food stamps used to be $200 a month. Now it's 280. And you would think that that would be enough, but you're living outside, so you can't really um, eat foods that you can't like get a pound of hamburger meat and cook it when you get home. You have to get everything ready to eat or out of a box or out of a bag. And really, um, it helps, but it's like there's like a week and a half where you just don't have any, unless you're eating just a can of corn every day, and that's it. Uh, you get to the last part of the month where you're waiting for the next food stamps and you don't have anything, because the prices have gone up so substantially. Basically, even at Walmart, like even for a great value, something that was $1.25 is now $2.50, and so that's frustrating because you don't really have. I mean, I know it's supposed to be a supplemental type thing, but you know, It's still frustrating because um, it's just still frustrating. You can't, unless you're eating a can of corn and, you know, I don't know. It's hard. It's hard being homeless, honestly. But I'm happy to be here. The weather has started to change. Um, and I got here when it was still pretty warm. It was getting up to 85 some days, mostly in the 70s. Now it's in the 50s and 60s during the day. At night, it's 50s and 40s, which can get a little cold. I did get a 30-degree bag when I got here, just because, if I had thought ahead, I would have spent the extra money. But it was like, to get like a 10-degree bag, it's, like $60. And I wanted to be, I thought I'd have a job by now and be working and have at least a paycheck that I could spend on new gear. Because when you're how do you become homeless, with how do you subsist, right? Well, if you're during the spring or summer, you don't need anything. You just grab what's, you can sleep on the ground. You get a little throw blanket and you're fine. But during the fall, winter, winter's not really going to get here till, I guess, mid-November, or no, sorry, mid-December. So I've got a little bit of time still. Um, and but it gets cold, and you can stay in a tent during those cold months, and I did it a couple of years ago. If you have the right gear, and like that invoker pad that I had starting on the trip, if I had that, I would be fine for the most part. I'd still need, and I guess the key is, if I ever have cash and I go to a thrift store, I'll pick up a sleeping bag, even if it's a kid's sleeping bag, even if it's, you know, and basically when you pile sleeping bags, I don't know, like the temperature ratings, like the bag I have currently is 30 degrees comfort level, um, which is pretty good. But if it gets down below that, that's not fun. But if I had like another sleeping bag to throw on top of it, even if it was like a 40-degree bag or a cheap El Cheapo kids bag or something that I could throw on top of it, I don't know how you stack the temperature ratings, but it's doable. If you had like, you know, anyway, it works. I was able to get a new backpack. Um, when I picked up, there's a place called in Vancouver called the Giving Closet, which is, they give out clothes and stuff, and there's really great of them. They're all positive people. A lot of these places are government subsidized, or like pantries. Like they'll start out to be uh, as a giving sort of resource, but then you know they apply for grants and things like that, and they get paid. Uh, they get paid from the government to exist, and so and either they work for free, and that money goes to the organization or whatever, or they have, but usually they turn into sort of you know mean spirited little people, honestly. um, and I can understand that there's a wide range of different kinds of homeless people. um, like I'm in a spot now that's in a little field, kind of out of the way, and like there's another homeless guy. He's down about, I don't know, 150, 200 feet over there, and we kind of live the same way. Like we don't like, if you go to like Vancouver or Portland, you'll have people that just throw their tent on the side of a sidewalk or something and live there, and there'll be a community, and they're dirty, and they throw their trash everywhere, and they shit on the sidewalk or whatever. um, Pretty gross. And then you have, the drug addicts, the alcoholics, the schizophrenics, all of them, and they all tend to gravitate towards the community type stuff. I don't want to be seen here. I don't want to be seen in, the thing is if in the Northwest, uh, that usually they'll give you 48 to 72 hours. If they find your camp, they'll post a little notice on it, and they'll say, okay, you have to, you're either trespassing, or you've got to get out, right? You've got to get. And what people do, and what they'll do is they'll do in, like in Portland, I've seen it, like on a Saturday, they'll get the cops will get there 4-wheelers, and they'll do a task force, and they'll go out and say, okay, you got to move. Um, and then what people do is they pack up all their stuff and they move down the street and they set up their camp again after the cops have gone. And it's a recurring process. Um, it's just that they, I don't want to be seen. I don't want to have to move because it's wintertime. The wintertime's coming. All the leaves, or I don't know if you can see that. I don't have the way to like sit back and forth between that way and this way, but like selfie versus not. But all the leaves are changing colors. And when I got here, this area was very lush and green. Now there are gaps, like right out here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a little hole right there. I don't like that. And it was like that over here. I'll probably do an intro with showing you the outside. But basically, what I do is I create these like berms or scrims of detritus and interweave. There's a lot of great green moss out here, but basically I'll build a sort of a wall of um, sticks and twigs, and then I'll use like the green moss as kind of like mortar. And basically, my goal with that is not to create a barrier necessarily of fortification. It's about getting not being seen, and once all the leaves fall down, and there's a road real close over here, um, and a store, and so I don't want people looking out here and being like, oh, there's a homeless guy, because if there's, it's not a big deal if they did. Most people don't care, but every now there's a lot of Karens out here, and Karens will be like, there's somebody living out there, and um, eventually the cops will come out and they'll put that notice and tell me I got to move, and I don't want to have to move. I've got a really good campsite here. I wish my tent was bigger. Honestly, I still got that one man type deal. And when you're living on the road, that's fine. But when you're homeless, you collect a lot more stuff for just in case. Like I've got a pair of, these were my shoes, $20 shoes I got when I first got here. I've since upgraded to boots, but like these are tent shoes, or not tent shoes, but like getting up to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I just slip them on, that sort of thing. I've got some of my food in here, but I've got a laundry basket which contains a lot of my clothing and whatever. Um, and it's really just to kind of get it organized out of the way. Um, I mean, there's a lot of people who live in tents that don't keep their area clean, and that is really the reason that I think if people were in tents and they weren't such freaking slobs, it wouldn't be much of a problem. Basically, any kind of food stuff that I take into my tent from the store, I'll take the packaging and pack it out. Like I've got a little bag here of Bugles that's full of trash, wipes, and like whatever. And then I'll take that and I'll pack it back out, take it to the store, drop it in the trash can on my way out. And so that way, it keeps rodents away, um, and other animals, but it also keeps my area looking clean and feeling good. And the guy that's up there, from what I can see, I haven't really gone to his tent necessarily, but I've seen kind of further away, and looks like he keeps his area clean as well. And so we're of like minded that. I think he might be a little crazy. Um, every now and again I'll hear him outside his tent, howling or screaming out. Maybe he's schizophrenic. I don't know. But the key to being out in a situation like this is awareness. Um, like I'm very familiar with the noises that the area makes. Um, but anyway, things are going okay. I'm on the job hunt. From what I found out from a buddy that lives here, is that there's more. Uh, the people are not hiring; they're actually firing or letting go, even in restaurants and stuff. So that is disheartening. I've been trying to find a job for about a month and a half, or 4 weeks or so, and I haven't been able to find anything. Um, And I mean, no phone calls, nothing. Normally I can put in my resume and get a call like that, usually the next day. That's not happening. I've also applied, uh, you know, Subway, Dollar Tree, Fred Meyer, just, all these different kind of places, and nobody's called me. So that's disheartening. Um, but I'm kind of entrenched into this particular spot. I could go to another location and try, because I'm applying for places, but specific to where I am. Like I want the job to be within a 2 to 3 mile radius, because walking more than that is a lot of work. Um, Honestly, with my legs, my knees, my back, my overheating and whatnot. Um, um, like I've got a library just about 2 miles away, which I'm going to go to today and charge up all my stuff. It's important to have like battery backups. I've got 4 battery backups and 2 phones. I got a phone for free. Um, it's a crappy phone, but it's a smartphone. Um, and data. I was running out of data on I when I started this, I bought a year plan from Track Phone, and it had like 24 gigs of data. But I ran out of that last month, and uh, I was actually outside a food pantry, and they had this stall for get a free phone. So I got a free phone. The only problem, and it's got 15 gigs of data, uh, and that's great. But in order to get that renewed each month, I've got to call them up, which is kind of a hassle, but I can do that, and that will enable me to have data. It's a really crappy phone. It's not like 5G data. Sometimes it is, but for the most part, it's 4G or less. But that helps me with like if I've still got a few dollars on my bus pass. And the great thing about being out here in the Northwest in the Portland metro area, which includes Vancouver, across the river in Washington, it's um, all the buses connect. And if you get a bus pass, a hop card, basically you can go, you know, I don't know, 20 miles into Washington, 20, 25, I don't know. You can go down to like Oregon City, you can go to Sherwood. I mean, there's lots of places in the metro area. The only problem is uh, I've got, I don't know, like $9 on my hop card, so that's not really a lot. Um, you know, and I got to be real careful about how I use that. I'll be using that tomorrow. I'm going to go to a pantry. Since I ran out of food stamps, I have a few foods, uh, but I need some basics. So I'm going to head to tomorrow and go to a pantry and pick up some food, haul it back to my location, and then Thursday I'm going to go and see if I can get some more clothes, and maybe they'll have jackets, like a puff jacket. What I really need is a puff jacket. I've got an outer shell jacket that I was able to get, and I got a hoodie. And for this weather, that's okay. But like last night, it got down to like 45. Like I woke up 5:30 in the morning, and it was free. I was freezing. Um, but like when I had the money and I went to get the shell, I didn't. I was going to get a puff jacket, but they didn't have puff jackets at that time. So um, and puff jacket, it does get cold out here, and when you're sleeping on the ground, it gets cold. I'm gonna try to pick up some like pillows or something like that that I can. I would normally get like an invoker pad or a memory foam pad, but my guess is if I had other pillows that I could kind of put underneath my camping mat, then that would help keep me off the ground, and maybe there'd be a little bit of heat generation. But anyway, um, I'm still pretty positive. I have days, I'm not having really any depression triggers per se, but I am having anxiety triggers, sure. I used to have GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder, in my late 20s, early 30s. And that was basically, I just feel panicked all day. So every now and again, I'd have a panic attack. Um, I'm not really having that, but like there's been a few days where I've just felt anxiety all day about uh, the job situation. And so I'm trying to get past that. I'm trying to just kind of, um, you know, just trying to be casual about it if I can. Be like, well, if you can't get it today, you'll get one tomorrow, and you just keep on putting going out there. I'm actually at the point where I'm putting in for jobs that I never would have worked before, or never thought of working before, just to get a paycheck or two. Because in order, basically by December, I need there's certain gear that I need. I'm pretty good on everything, but I'm gonna need like a scarf, like a puff jacket, a some kind of memory foam pad, a 0 degree bag, and then probably uh, gloves, maybe some hot hands. That would be nice. I'm pretty much good other than that, but I'll need to get those, and that's a couple $100. I would like to actually get a bigger tent. Uh, you know, this tent was the cheapest they had. It was like $29 at Walmart, and I grabbed it. But and I don't even know if I'd have room in this particular spot for a larger tent. Like I'd prefer like a 2 to 3 person tent. The thing is I've got my tarp set up here, which is cool. It keeps the rain off. But what I'd like is a bigger tent that I could maybe a bigger tarp too, or an additional tarp. And anyway, um, but like I can lay down in here, and I've got a little space. I've got to kind of cramp my feet into like like a different area in order to get comfortable to lay down. And I'm comfortable when I sleep, but um, like I don't want to have to like a lot of times my shoes get dirty or whatever, and when I put them on, I have to put them on with my feet outside the tent. Otherwise, the inside gets crap. So I'd like a place that allows me to put on my shoes inside the tent and exit the tent that way. But anyway, yeah, things are going okay here. I want to do a couple of videos on how to be homeless, or a homeless survival guide kind of thing. Maybe I'll do that in increments. I don't know. I've thought about it for a long time, and I've wanted to do a video before now, but the problem with being homeless is it's not bad. If it's really all up here, you've got to maintain a really good attitude. I download a lot of audiobooks and stuff, and that is a lifesaver, because if you're just sitting here in your tent and you start thinking about, man, I'm living in a tent, and it's not like, for me, I don't have a problem with living in a tent necessarily, um, but the day after day after day, uh, and not being able to get a leg up. I'm not one of those perpetual or chronic homeless people, in a sense that, most people become homeless and they stay homeless forever until they die, right? Uh, and but for me, I'm like be homeless for 6 months to a year, get back on my feet, get squared away, and then eventually I expect I'll be homeless again. It's not intentional, but it's because of the way my mind works. If I'm in an untenable situation where I'm deeply unhappy, um, and maybe the job is freaking me out, maybe bills are freaking me out. Like when I was in um, Utah, year before last, or last year, um, I was in a place where I had a job, I had a place, I had a car, but the car was making, I was having problems with the I was having problems with the transmission in it. Newest car, having problems with transmission. I was like, okay, that's $3 or $4 that I got to come up with, but I can only save up $100 or $200 after every month, and it was just, and to be fair, I was deeply unhappy, and the depression was really bad for me. Most days I couldn't even get out the door. It was hard, and so I left that all behind. Um, and because living, you know, for me, living on the road was more of a viable solution at the time. And I guess it all kind of worked out in the end. But I'm still homeless. I live with my brother for a stint somewhere in there. But and then I was like, well, I'm gonna be homeless at the end of that, and so I might as well walk across country, and you know, that was part of my life. But it's difficult. Being homeless, there are challenges. Mostly, it's attitude, um, but it can be very difficult, and you got to keep your head in the right place. which for me, what helps with that is going to the library. There will be days where I'll be in the library and have done my job searches, have done my, just powering up, and I'll just watch like TikTok or Instagram Reels or something and get lost and look up and feel good because it will be air conditioned or heated or whatever. And I'll be sitting there just like anybody else. I do my hobo baths pretty regularly, so I don't stand out that much. The good thing about being in the Northwest is you don't have to really worry about that. A lot of the natives here, they don't really bathe. They don't bathe, they don't wash their hair, they don't comb their hair, they don't, they wear clothes that are older, and I guess that's the Northwest style now. But I feel darn right civilized when I go to the bus stop and I see all these people that have apartments and everything, and the hair is just all trashed and they're dirty, and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling good about myself here. But I might add to this. I might do. Uh, this is just an update right now. Like I said, I hope to do some updates on just things I've noticed and how to get by out here. But I'm back, and I'll be doing some more videos. I guess I'll continue looking for a job. We'll see how that goes. And anyway, Hobo Yeti, Homeless Yeti, signing off.